All right, let's get into our watch list. You've got Collingwood as our lead-off point. No rucking worries.
Yeah,
bold. I like it.
No rucking worries.
Joey, please.
What? Just about the ruck situation. I started looking at the value.
Ease your way back in, Robbo. Just ease your way back in.
I started looking at the value of ruckman and just trying to work out where it all lies and looking at some numbers. And then the Collingwood situation struck me. So basically, in simple terms, this year in general from stoppages, Collingwood have gone from being a bottom 4 team last year to top 4. And the huge part of that has been the centre bounce game. So if you look at their centre bounce numbers, in 2022 they were bottom 3 in the comp. And this year they are the 5th best at differential and the number 1 scoring team from centre bounce, despite having no ruckman. So when you look for the year, they are 18th for hitouts in centre bounce and the opposition are number 1 for hitouts. So they are not getting in their hand on it. But what matters more is your players at ground level and your ability to have talent, have instinct, and what I love is the structure and system they've got. So look how they protect one half of the circle. This is the 4th quarter of this game against Adelaide to give themselves a chance by winning some centre bounces. They set up so well. So look at this stoppage. Even if they don't get their hand on it, and Billy Frampton just tries to hit it at the same spot, Collingwood owns so much of the circle that they can't help but win these clearances. So you look at this setup again and you go, right, watch Draper here. So Draper gets his absolute hand on it. And just watch how this unfolds. And you go, this is what the more important. 3 Collingwood players, Dacos, Pendlebury, DeGoey, they just read the opposition hit. So you just start to wonder how important is actually having a tap ruckman in the competition, because this goes on to lead to a goal. And when you look for the year, Collingwood have scored the most points from centre bounce in the competition this year. And teams like St Kilda, who have Rowan Marshall, the Western Bulldogs, who have Tim English, and Freo, who have Jackson and Darcy, are basically bottom 4 teams. They've scored less than half of what Collingwood have got from centre bounce.
So you're putting a line through ruckman?
Well, it just makes you wonder how valuable they actually are in a game, because it's the debate that keeps raging.
Yep.
That they are valuable. But
so what's your side? You don't need a good ruckman?
I think, look at Geelong. Mark Blitzarves, and Geelong are the number 1 stoppage team in the comp. And Billy Frampton. I think you just need someone who can compete and nullify the other ruckman. You can't have a Sean Grigg in there where the other ruckman can just do as he likes. But if you've got someone who can just nullify them and you've got talented mids, that's good enough. They can get the job done.
I'm not trying to make a headline here, but you think ruckmen are overrated?
I question the value of a ruckman, yeah. Yeah, I do.
So you agree with me that they're overrated?
Just say
yes.
it. Just say it, Joey.
Yes,
it'll help us.
It'll make it easier for you.
Yes. King, you've been in the lab for 0. You took the Port Adelaide assignments and you've come up with a power shift.
Yeah, so just looking at what's changed from last year to this year, and are they really in the conversation, I guess, is the discussion we're all trying to have. And I think when you look at their midfield, they've really improved down in their defensive 50 and their clearance work. They're not winning as many clearances as last year, but they got leg drivers in there now. They step out. They step out by hand and they step out via exit. And it is hard to curtail. It's hard to stop. This is a weapon. So on the back of what you just showed, Joey, they do have the ability to win some taps. But they've also got the ability to be strong and exit by hand. When you exit by hand, you become damaging very quickly. So they've gone from plus 4 points to plus 9 points. Doesn't sound like a lot, but an extra goal on your opponent, you can change a lot of your makeup to try and find that goal. So they become really proactive and really aggressive really quickly. So you look at metres gained, which is a big statistic that clubs really track. We don't track it as much here as what they do at clubland. Starting a stoppage, how far you can go, what sort of distance you can go until that chain is broken. And there's some really serious numbers there when you have a look. So that's just the exiting by hand. That's changed. Top 6 last year, best in the comp, and by 20% in terms of improvement on the next best team. But this is what I want to talk about, metres gained from clearance. So usually from clearance you get your territory. So they're second best in the competition. So if you go 100 metres and turns over and comes back 50, you're plus 50. Okay? If you go 100 and score, you're plus 100, starts again. So they're second best in the competition behind Collingwood, which you've just shown, Joey. So I think this is a considerable asset that we're not really recognising just yet. And there's a whole heap of them. Horne-Francis was in the vision there, Rosie, Butters, Powell Pepper, even Finlayson does a little bit of it. So they've got wild cards in there. And Ken's using them really well. I think Ken's coaching, he's almost coaching like a caretaker coach. And I think Caretaker Ken is the most damaging version of Ken.
He's coaching fantastic. They've overhauled their midfield, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
In the space of 18 months.
Yeah.
So you've got a second lab piece for 0 here.
Yeah, so their defence is really strong at the moment, second best in the competition, just their defensive 50. So it's really basic how they do it. So they tend to hold a deep defender as often as they can. So if you go up into an area that they don't think you're going to be used, it's usually Alir or Mackenzie that'll drop off, or the deepest tall. And they just get to the line of the footy first. So it's simple. It's really basic, but it's effective. And this is why I want to say that I think Alir is their most important player. You can lose a midfielder, you maybe can lose a spark forward, but they can't lose Alir. For me, everything goes around this guy. We saw St Kilda last week try and go around him. You see different teams trying to break him down. They do the 1.5 thing, so one player covers 2 defenders. That's Alir there, just getting in the way again. Bang, off you go. So his ability to intercept mark is significant. Only St Kilda have taken more contested marks in the D50, winning the ball back, than Port Adelaide. So I think this is a real strength. He's the one, Alir for me, Joey. And I just think that the way that they play this guy, he's almost like a Jeremy McGovern, the sort of impact this guy's having on the competition. We've talked about Jeremy in glowing terms over the last decade, so he's the one for me.
We are seeing teams, aren't we, in recent weeks trying to work out a way to get around the opposition's best interceptor. So the plan for Callum Wilkie, he got sat on in one of the games. Stephen May, teams are trying to avoid him. I think teams need to look at doing the same for Alir because of his influence. Absolutely.
He's made some great spoils at the end of games.
Yeah.
But remember we were talking a couple of weeks ago, he marks the ball.
He does.
And generates attack from marking the ball.
Only Jack Payne's taken more intercept marks in the D50.
That's a great call about he's the most important player.
He's the one they plan against.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Bit of guess who, so pay attention here, Robbo.
No one knows the answer here, so we're playing a game. Who am I?
Assassin.
Anonymous assassin. Who am I?
What is it? The assassin?
The anonymous assassin. Right. So I want to show the numbers first, and then I want you guys to have a guess. So we're going to get them up here. Right. This player is the #1 inside 50 kick in the competition. There's your first little hint. He's the #1 score assist player in the competition. He's had 19 score assists, 14 have led the goals, and he's the 9th best ranked field kick in the game. Does anyone want to have a guess who it is?
Come on, Robbo.
He's a highly unorthodox kick.
The Irishman and Hawthorn.
No, it's Brian Myers. Brian Myers is the #1 inside 50 kick in the competition. So the AFL average is 20% of kicks get marked inside 50. 50% of Brian Myers' kicks this year have been marked inside 50 with this dinky little style of his where he cuts it across the body. He's the #1 score assist player in the comp. He hasn't kicked a goal himself. He's kicked 0 goals, but he's laid off 19, which is a remarkable number. And his kick rating is +10.5, Kingy, and you understand that. That is very good. So he's kicking 11% above what's expected, which ranks him ninth in the competition. I just thought it's been a massive... we've talked a lot about some of the big guns for Geelong, but some of these anonymous players are having huge months. His last month, he's averaging just under 21 disposals, 8 score involvements, and nearly 3 assists a game. Just recognising someone that's sneaking under the... We're sick of recognising Jeremy Cameron and Paddy Dangerfield, so just finding someone else.
Did you know? Who would you were going to get?
No, I would have probably gone with Toby Green, I reckon.
He's second. Toby Green's probably the second best inside for the
Where's Connor Nash?
412. It's just a little bit...
He's playing really
having
well.
a great clearance here. Great clearance.
At least you had a go. Thanks for having a guess.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming. Take this little prize.